Otubore, and you are watching The Big Issue. Among the issues on the front burner of conversations across Nigeria is the role of the youth in the country's politics, or more specifically, the need to integrate the youth into the mainstream of Nigerian politics. Now, the youth occupy about 30% of Nigeria's population, but holds a negligible fraction of its elected offices. On the 26th of July 2017, the Nigerian Senate passed the Not Too Young to Run bill, a historic move that will lower the ages of candidacy for the presidency from 40 to 35, the House of Reps from 30 to 25, and the State Houses of Assembly from 30 to 25. Now, despite these positive changes, there still looms a burning need to take a critical look at the readiness of the next generation of Nigerians, especially as it concerns leadership. Is the next generation ready to lead? Bala Zakka is a public affairs analyst. He says Nigerian youths are not ready to lead, so rather than agitate for a mere generational shift at the nation's helm of affairs, Nigerians should seek for courageous and visionary leaders. Come on, put your hands together for him. Come over. You can do better than that. Come on. Good to have you. Now, on the other hand, Godbless Otubore is an emerging youth leader, the founder of Ready to Lead Africa and the Lagos State coordinator of Not Too Young to Run. He's here to say the youths are ready to lead and the time to start is now. Come on, put your hands together for him. Well, as a matter of fact, we are kickstarting this beautiful debate. Wherever you are, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the moment as we keep you intrigued as the seconds tick away. But first of all, I think I'll have to start with Bala Zakka first. Bala, you are here to say the youths are not ready to lead. How do you start this conversation quickly?
Well, this is the way I would want to start it. I mean, the youths in the context of Nigeria are not prepared, they are not ready to lead. And it's a bit unfortunate. They may not be 100% the cause, but as we speak today in the context of Nigeria, the youths are not prepared in any way to lead.
Come on, come on. Come on, you can do better than that. This is about your future now, come on. All right, God bless, you heard him. How do you start? You are saying the youths are ready to lead. I believe you have your preambles, you have your target points. Let's hear it.
If there is anyone out there, including Mr. Zakka, and everyone watching from everywhere around this world, and you still doubt that the Nigerian youth is not ready to lead, after we passed the Not Too Young to Run bill with sustained advocacy, and we compelled the president to sign it into law in 2018, and delivered for the first time a 32-year-old as the Speaker of the Oyo State House of Assembly. And we created platforms that today Nigerians are using across the world, and you still think and believe that Nigerian youth are not ready to lead, then you have a really big issue yourself.
All right. You heard the way he started.
Correct.
He has given a very valid point, and he says, look, the youth already has a representation in policy that is doing well at the moment, and you are here saying they are not ready to lead. Is that not a good start for the youth to take off?
It's a completely wrong start, and I can explain it.
Good.
You know, there is a difference between perception and practical performance. And in the context of Nigeria today, if we allow the current crop of Nigerian youths to lead, Nigeria will be reduced to a melancholy country. It's as simple as that. And I can tell you this, whether we accept it or not, there is a structural pattern and ways that you will take before you become a leader. The youths of before, in the context of Nigeria, probably were able to lead. And I will explain it later in the days of the Gowons. But as we speak today, let me start with the basic things that you will require youths to demonstrate. Ordinarily, you will expect youths to demonstrate some level of respect, and you may not believe it. Because of the topic of today, when I came in, I started with the youths here. Before now, the youths of before, when an elder comes in, regardless of this hereditary powdered hair, if an elder waves his hand, what do you expect from the youth? They should bow and show some level of respect. I didn't see it here. And this is the generation you are saying I should accept and partake in handing over the leadership, the economic and political custody of Nigeria into their hands. They are not prepared. There is something again everybody needs to understand about youths. Generally or globally, youths are expected to be intelligent. Yes. Youths are expected to be numerate. Youths are expected, if possible, to be methodical. That I accept, because it's something that has to do with that generation and bracket. But in the context of today's youth, they are generally impatient. They are unstable, just like what in physics we describe as excited electrons. And when you have particles behaving like that, check it. It's a principle of science. You cannot get stability and you cannot line up to achieve your objective.
Come on, come on.
The youth of today, in the context of Nigeria, I said today, are living a fake life. Many youths are living a fake life. They are crooked. Their life is zigzag. They are not coordinated in line with another principle of physics we call Brownian motion. These youths, let me tell you, these youths are moving up and down. They are so uncoordinated. They are so chaotic to the point where you don't have a direction. And if you don't have direction, your intelligence, your education without tenacity will turn to foolishness.
All right.
I will give you one example. Some years back when I was attending a professional course, I had this youth who was my classmate, incidentally. Unfortunately, during one of our break moments, right, normal break time, we came out, it was a lunchtime break, and I saw the trouser sagging. You know, I thought he didn't know. So naturally, I felt I needed to do what? To notify him. Yeah. And I walked, I said, hey, oh boy, it's like your trouser is sagging. No? Can you imagine what that guy said? He said, yeah, I know. I was shocked to my marrow. That was somebody who was supposed to be a graduate and attending a professional course. The only conclusion I arrived at that time was I said, if this is the kind of character that will want to be my leader tomorrow, I will not vote for this guy. Regardless of his educational attainment, is irrelevant. And there is something about the youth of today. They think having a fine face with good statistics, good education, traveling abroad, you know, maybe with some affluence behind them, are the characteristics that you require to lead. No. You need to learn. That's one thing. You need to be patient. You need to be somebody who will be ready to follow. But in the context of today, all these attributes are lacking in the youth of today. And the best we can get, if we allow such youth to lead, is like I said, they will reduce Nigeria to a country of mockery and melancholy.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. How do you respond to this quickly?
It is pathetic and really, I just couldn't believe it that he would say those words about young people. And he did not even for once take responsibility for his generation's failure.
Come on.
And I need to say it, whilst this show is about how we state these issues, I want to send a message to every young person and every youth and all the generation watching. And my really amazing audience. You see, do not ever believe anybody from this generation that has failed Africa. The generation that taught its oncoming generation that politics is do or die. The generation that refused to honor court rulings. The generation that imprisoned journalists for speaking the truth. The generation that built cities that are now globally regarded as shitholes. The same generation that couldn't build infrastructure or give us rail or metro system. And then they come back and they tell you that you are not ready to lead. Tell them that they too have no right to speak about who is ready to lead or not.
Come on.
Can you show me a clip where IBB was asked, are you ready to lead? Our generation gave your generation social media. So, I will round off and say this to you, sir. Please, when a child behaves badly, what do they say? What did the fathers or what did the mother do? When the fathers and the mothers have failed to properly train their child, they hide their faces in shame.
Let me just talk about the current thing that is bedeviling this country. We all know that if you don't have national security, you will not have economic security. And if you don't have economic security, you can't have social security. Today, Nigeria is plagued by what? General insecurity. Because one thing insecurity does is this. It throws a country into a risk. And what is a risk? A risk is the chances of threats like Boko Haram, banditry, and other things, taking advantage of our vulnerabilities to do us what? To cause us harm. We are experiencing different kinds of harm today in Nigeria due to insecurity. What happened in the Southwest? The concept of what? Amotekun came up, right? What did the youths do? At the end of the day, it's not the elders that will go and confront the bandits, right? And the kidnappers. It's the youths. What did they do? The youths took their time, right? In the context of Southwest, they took their time, they met some of the political elders, royal fathers, and what happened? There was a consultation. They thought through the name, right? Agreed and came up with what? The concept of Amotekun. What happened in the north? In less than 1 month, youths in the north, they came up with what we call Shege Kafasa. Shege in Hausa means an idiot. The revered Sultan of Sokoto rebuked them. He didn't stop there. He called on the elders, not only of northern Nigeria, but of Nigeria, and said, you have to check these youths. If the youths will behave like this, we cannot hand over the destiny of this country into their hands.
This is a very heated debate. If you're just joining us, this is the big Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still the big Is the next generation ready to lead? Now, the debate is still on, and we have these amazing gentlemen still holding down this conversation and holding out their positions. I can tell you it's getting heated already, but we have not even gone halfway. If you're just joining us, you're still in business. But Bala, Zakka, you were trying to make a point before we went for that break.
I was going to give practical examples
between
the youths of before and the lawless and directionless youths of today. In the days of Gowon was a youth. But this is a simple and practical example of how youths in those days were behaving. After the Civil War, which some people call the Biafran War, then Obasanjo, Gowon was the head of state, right? Obasanjo was then the commander and a colonel. You can go to YouTube or you can search and you will see it. When Obasanjo was presenting, right, the dissident soldiers, right, that went to the other side. Gowon was there, then in his 30s as a general, and was doing what? Was welcoming the dissident soldiers because they wanted to incorporate them. What was Gowon doing? How was he demonstrating? You will see Gowon saying, "Thank you, my brother. You are welcome." My brother, is it you? You are welcome. Gowon was welcoming them. It was clear, it's there. And we saw how Obasanjo, then a colonel, was presenting them. That was a practical example. Another thing about Gowon, because we are talking about youth of those days and the lawless youth of today. When Gowon was in, I think, Kampala, Uganda, attending the OAU summit, his government was what? Overthrown by Murtala. What did Gowon do when he was told? He went somewhere, sat down, controlled himself and said, "No worry, don't worry. I know it's my country. I wish them well. I want them to succeed. I don't want anarchy. I don't want anything." Yes. That was how Gowon spoke in his 30s. If it were to be the youth of today, after those dissident soldiers were brought, believe me, people like this and the youth of today will ask for those guys to be what? To be executed. In the days of Gowon, when he was overthrown while he was in Kampala, if it were to be a youth like this, he will make sure Nigeria is set ablaze. That those are features and characteristics we have seen. It is a generation that is characterized by anger, lack of forgiveness, and vengeance. I want to also give you an example of a youth again, or youths that are visionless. Even in the current political dispensation, about 4 years ago, we had a vibrant youth, I think in the Senate, that I so much respected. He had the firepower, he had the dexterity to stand and talk. But I was taken aback when all I could see behind him were exotic cars. All I could see were, is it Lamborghinis? You see this, you see that. Those were the things you can search. That guy, I think, was a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and a youth. What I thought was, with that vibrancy, that guy should invest in producing doctors for Nigeria, invest in producing engineers, invest in producing accountants, invest in producing journalists. But all that guy could demonstrate were cars. If you go to his house, you only see a fleet of cars.
All right, before you continue quickly. Now, let us look at it from another perspective.
Yes.
Now, they say when the foundation is faulty,
yes,
there is nothing anyone can do about it. Now, it is obvious, is it not obvious that those who are in leadership, the elderly ones, so to say, have not made it easy for the youth to even assimilate themselves into the system? Now, no. Let me point out to you. Remember, there was chaos on social media when there was a call against social media bill in the House.
Yes.
And a lot of youth felt that their voices have started to gain international recognition. And it's obvious that these guys who are in power at the moment are disturbed by the rate at which the youth are beginning to catch up with the political space. And they're beginning to speak out, and they're beginning to see what is going on. Now, look at what is happening around the SARS situation. Look at a youth that was brought down recently, a footballer of Remo Football Club.
Yes.
This guy is a youth just doing his job. But the system did not allow him to progress. They said he was a Yahoo boy, and that was not the case. He was a footballer. Despite the fact that he presented identities, yet he was still hacked to death. Now, listen, let's be realistic.
Yes.
How can youth thrive in a generation that is so stifled that is not even giving them an opportunity to fly?
It's not. It's a function of population growth. It's a function of population growth. Let me give practical examples again. In those days, in the days of our parents, the Gowons and the rest, maybe when you come out of NDA, right? In 6 months' time, maybe you become a second lieutenant. In 1 year's time, you become what? A lieutenant. In 4 years' time, you become. As the population increases, right, the top shrinks. But let me come on the aspect you said had to do with lack of tutelage or foundation. It's not a foundation issue. It's sheer arrogance and refusal to follow process. The youth of today think the older generation are idiots. And let me tell you, most of the time, you can't hear youths talking about learning. All they are saying is, even we had somebody during his campaign, a vibrant youth, all he was saying was that he was going to consign the elders to the dustbin of history. He was going to consign the elders to the dustbin of history. And these are the people that have that basket of wisdom that they will need to share with you, because ordinarily what they are supposed to do is this. Where they got it right, they will tell you to improve, right? And where they got it wrong, they will tell you to avoid those potholes. But the youth of today feels all those elders should be muddled up and consigned to the dustbin. And no elders will accept that.
Right.
Something on population again.
Now, God bless. Let me quickly interject him there quickly. I know we don't have all the time in the world, because if you let Bala continue, we won't leave here. So I know you have your assertions quickly. How do you respond to him?
I mean, it's, whilst I hear him, and then it's just pure not correct, what you were saying, sir. You cannot use the behavior of a particular number of youth to describe the youth of Nigeria. You owe us an apology.
Unfortunately, no.
And the truth is this. I am a youth because I am Samson Itodo. Samson Itodo is the leader of Yaga today, training young people across Africa and empowering the next generation with the right skill on how to do policy, how to design policy that will help Nigeria grow. Samson Itodo is a youth, just so you know. Linda Ikeji is 38. Today, you may also be one of the people who go to Linda Ikeji to source for information. I don't know if you do. But I know a lot of people who use what Linda Ikeji has created for themselves. Sean Oshawa is the head and CEO of Nairaland. He's 36, sir. There are a lot of us today who get our news from Nairaland. I will go further. Ayodeji, the co-founder of Jobaman, sir, he's 35. He's a youth. Today, there are a lot of us who get jobs, whose future will be made whole because of what Ayodeji has done. And I will continue. Itop Ikpe, he's 36 years old. He's the founder of Cars 45. He's a young man. He has revolutionized how we buy cars and sell cars. You know, your generation and the failed generation ahead of us didn't give us better strategy on how to move. But young people, youth that you have castigated, are making things happen. I'm not done. There's a young man called Godbless Otubore. Fortunately, he's standing before you. He's 32. He's the founder of Ready to Lead Africa and also the Lagos State Coordinator for the Not Too Young to Run. Guess what we did? When your generation told us that we were zigzagged, that we lacked coherence, that we were not coordinated, that we cannot do anything right, we told you, watch us and see us move this country. We said we were going to change the constitution and ensure that at 35 years old you can run for president. Your generation told us that we were joking. But guess what happened? Against the background, against the backdrop of all the things that you guys have thrown at us, the chaos that you call cities that we now live in, the poor educational system that you gave us, the fact that you did not model the right attitude, against all that, Mr. Bala, we came together from the hills of Kogi to the creeks in the Niger Delta. The young man in Potiskum and that child in Benue, We came together and organized, and we moved this country. We passed the age reduction bill. Today, a 35-year-old can run for president. A 25-year-old can go to the House. It wasn't done by old people, Mr. Bala. It was done by youth. It was done by youth. And guess what happened?
All right, God bless. You have laid down your points very clear and very open. Now, the social media angle you even mentioned now, I'm on it daily most of the time.
Right.
And you would see that youths are very, very pumped when trivial issues are discussed. Mm-hmm. They waste their data all day. They want to talk about it. Sometimes they go even to the point of trying to bully people and bully them out of their positions for nothing. Now, sometimes they're even faceless. They don't have their pictures up on their profile, but they want to go heads on.
We created social media for them, and they are using it. So you can't blame us for everything that happens on social media.
But the youth have submitted themselves for objects to instrumentals.
So
to
this
be
is
used.
what we're saying. They created the pain. They created the.
Okay, you say, they created the pain.
Listen, let me tell you what we should be doing now.
Allow me to respond.
The next bill will...
Allow me to respond.
You will respond now.
The next bill they're asking us to do is too old to even speak. It's something like that that's coming.
Okay. When you were talking about the exploits of the current generation of Nigerian youths,
yes,
you were talking about people who did this, who did X. Like me, I said I will be as practical as possible.
He was practical.
I said on my own in my responses. Recently, we had a Nigerian that was even on the Forbes books of millionaires. You heard about him. Everybody was thinking that guy was organized, not knowing that himself and so many Nigerians were fraudsters involved in Yahoo, credit fraud. You know it. That is the characteristic of today's youth. No? The characteristic of the common denominator of youth of today is moral decadence, technical intelligentsia that is adulterated. You mentioned something about Niger Delta when you were going round and round and round, and I can tell you, Niger Delta, or in particular Port Harcourt was then called in those days, in the days of the youth of before, it was called a garden city. When Nigeria went into politics from 1999, there were 4 youths, the rectangle or the square of 4 youths. Because you mention names, I will also mention names. We had Rotimi Amechi, Yesom Wike, Dakuku Peter Side, and Magnus Abe. Those were vibrant youths with firepower. And when they came and they wanted to take over the political landscape of Rivers State, the elders felt probably they had something to offer, and they ceded Rivers State to them. As I speak to you today, that square of those 4 guys have turned Rivers State and Port Harcourt in particular to a lawless place. Instead of a garden city, it is now called a violent city. Everybody knows it. Another thing about your youth that you are talking about exploits. The youth of those days, Bright Chimezie, Onyeka Onwenu, the Mandators, Sonny Okosun, Evi Edna Ogoli, and their likes, you know, even and many of them, Essien Igboke and all those. When you listen to their music, you could see message. Till today, the Fellas, the Bob Marleys. But you know what the musicians and the youth of today are doing? All they are doing, I will give you example with males and females. All the males are doing now is they sack their trousers. They are competing in impregnating our girls. Prove me wrong. Most of the musicians we have now, the youth, apart from competing on how many girls I have impregnated, how many guys will follow me to a beer parlor, and the talks they carry, they have nothing to offer. Then the girls, you know it. Recently, we met a girl, a Yoruba girl, who claimed to be a successful musician. They asked her name, and she said, my name is Temi. Instead of Temi, she said, my name is Temi. A mature person got so angry to the point where he said, I am ashamed of you. You call yourself a musician. You are a Yoruba girl, but you can't even pronounce your name very well. That is an insult.
Come on, guys.
Another thing that is going on is this. Recently, I don't know if some of you saw it, there was this viral video. Let me be specific, in the northern part of the country. You will see about 1 kilometer of small children, beggars. They are between the age range of 3 and I think like 12. Some of you must have seen it. When I decided to carry out an independent study to know where and how did these children come about, I discovered that most of their parents were between the ages of 20 and 33. And all those parents who are just behaving like that are what? They are youths. So when we start talking about youth, we have to be very, very careful.
We have to be very, very careful. And now the argument is
They are not ready.
Of course, it's your choice to pick your position. We will go on this break. When we return, we have the members of the audience weighing on this debate. This is still the big... If you're just joining us, this is still the big... Are the youths ready to lead? That is the big question on the front burner. And as it is right now, we are still in business with the conversation right now. And I want to switch the microphone to the audience and let's hear questions from them back and forth.
The work we're currently doing at the Not Too Young to Run and Ready to Lead Africa and what we're trying to do. It is clear that we have huge challenges with drugs and all these other issues. But the truth is that there is hope, right? There is hope. And if, like you said, you would have your vote for people like me. I am just one person on this stage. I tell you the truth. We have a silent majority of young people who think, act, and believe the same way. And my word to you and to everyone watching is this: do not give up on this country. What you see as the popular culture is a representation of the pressure on the system. But there are some of us who have taken time to study, to understand, so that we can apply ourselves to rebuilding the error and building the bridges of the failed generation of the past. So for you and for everyone who have your fears, go back home and tell them I said, don't fear anymore, because the light is about to shine.
Thank you for the question. And like you said, there is hope, but we shall wait. My generation will wait until your generation is ready. Because as we speak, your generation is a generation of lazy youths. Your generation has no endurance, and I will give you practical answers. What has my generation got to do with somebody who passed through a polytechnic or a university and cannot sing the Nigerian national anthem? So because my generation didn't sit you and teach you, are there no books for you to read and be able to recite the Nigerian national anthem? It shows how lazy your generation is. We are ready to wait because we cannot transfer the power to a vacuum, but we must transfer it to a readied generation. Let me also tell you something. You said my generation of youths were not organized. In my days, or the generation of the Gowons, between 1965, I'm coming. Okay, wait.
No, I never said that. I never said your generation of youth was not organized.
Let me just
you are
make
the
my
one
point.
saying that to us.
Okay, let me just make my point.
Okay, go on.
Between 1965 and 1989, you're talking about 24 years, when you had less educated Nigerians as leaders, when you had so many young people, the Awos, the Gowons, the Akinji Days, and the rest became leaders, right? They were able to construct how many refineries for you? 4. 2 refineries in Port Harcourt, 1 in Warri, and 1 in Kaduna. From 1999 to now, 2020, we are talking about 21 years, when many of those in the House of Assembly, House of Reps, were the youths of your generation. And some who are leading you, they have not been able to construct 1 additional refinery.
No, wait. What's going on here?
Then let me
sir.
Of my generation.
When you say something that is wrong, I think it is important that we correct it.
You will correct it.
You do not say that. Let
me just make this point.
I will not allow you put on the Nigerian youth a cloak that is not ours.
No problem. Let me get to the next one,
so
and you should challenge it and say it is not yours.
So I want to correct it now. The people that built 4 refineries then, we have tried to chase them away. They have said they won't go.
That is because you have
wait.
chase rather than studying.
Let me say it. So this is it. So this is it. Excuse me, sir. When I say, no, you have to go.
We are getting somewhere. Hold on, we have a question here quickly. Your direction, your question.
My name is John Akere, and thank you for what you're saying. My question is going to my elder, Bala Zakka. Right. Myself and you have been on different fora, and then you said to me categorically that you are proud of what I'm doing. As you can see, I'm a young person.
Yes.
Good. Now, my question to you, sir, on this podium is simple. Who made this current situation the way it is? Is it my generation as a young person or the older generation? That's 1. 2, you have said repeatedly on this platform that your generation is so scared of handing over power to the younger generation. So who will you hand over power to?
I already said that we are not handing power to vacuum, but there is a saying that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth what? So when you hear your generation saying, we will chase you, just the way he is talking about, we need to be cautious. We can't hand over the power, but you must realign yourself. All those lawlessness attitude must change. Some of you are bragging that you are student union activists. We know about activists like the Olesho in cars and the confraternities and all the association they brought. Then it was to fix government and to make sure they remove mediocrity. But the youth of today, even in the universities, when you go there now, the only guys that can have access to beautiful girls are cult guys. The only guys now that can become student union leaders must be people who are thugs. I will continue to give practical examples. We will give you a chance, but you must clean yourself. Purge yourself of laziness and decadence.
Thank you very much. Come on, put your hands together for that quickly. All right. Yes.
That has to be corrected again.
Quickly.
And every time he puts a cloak on the Nigerian youth that is not correct,
you will be ready to take it off.
I will tell you, sir, I served as a student union executive. I didn't have to be a thug, right? So, look, and we must be clear. I would say that your generation, when I use the word your generation, I'm sure that there were people in that generation that also meant well and have, shown some great behavior towards social development. So I would just be more careful about how I lump everybody together. But the truth is that I would just say that Nigerian youths are not what you were describing.
Thank you very much. Come on, put your hands together.
Please.
Your name and who you're directing your question to.
Okay, thank you. My name is Chelsea Jagede. Okay. And my question is to our elder,
Bala.
Mr. Bala.
Good.
I actually have just two questions. First of all, we were told that this is a democracy, but is it really a democracy or gerontocracy? That's where the older people rule. Then secondly, I was taught that when you see a problem, instead of complaining about the problem, you fix the problem. But right now, since I've been here, I've just been hearing negative things about the youth. We're this, we're that, we're this, we're that. But I'm also aware that there are many people your generation, many people your age that actually believe in the youth. I know Tony Elumelu does a lot of things for the youth because he believes in the youth. I know Dangote does a lot of things because he believes in the youth. That's just to mention a few people that are actually doing stuff for the youth because they see that this is wrong and they want to fix it because they believe in the youth. So my question to you, sir, is what have you done for the youth since you're talking this and that about the youth?
All right, your question.
Very simple.
All right.
Whether we like it or not, there is what we call a succession plan.
Okay.
And you can't hand over the power to vacuum. But sometimes I would rather prefer to have an adopted child to inherit my wealth and my sweat than to have a rascal who will think because of DNA, biological and physiological and biochemical relationship, I should allow him to inherit. That is one. Secondly, when we talk about the current generation,
all right,
what we are just saying is this: whether you like it or not, life is about studying. Life is about understanding where somebody got it wrong so that you can fix that. And where he got it right, you will improve. All the utterances from this generation of youth is chase them away. Chase them away. And the person you want to chase is the person that is supposed to hand over that power to you. Is supposed to also download the garbage, the mix of where he got it right and wrong. So that is the sickness and that is the problem. But as we are saying, you must be ready to learn. You must cleanse yourself. Another thing he said again, which I accept, out of probably 100%, 1 or 2% of you can be assumed or can be accepted to be doing well. But I believe, because I'm a realist, and when you talk about practical realities, I believe in mathematics, not in statistics. In mathematics, 1 + 1 is what? 2. Direct. But in statistics, 1 + 1 is equals to X plus an error margin. The error margin in the generation of today, giving us the impression that they are learning, is 100% error margin.
Thank you.
Well, he didn't answer one of the questions. No, he didn't answer one of the questions. What have you done for the youth?
What I have done for the youth,
Yes,
I
yes.
gave my profile before coming here. I mentor, and to show you, because of this program, after now, I will forward to you my picture in a regalia, white regalia, and I sponsored 10 youths who participated in the just concluded Lagos Marathon. The girl, Mercy, the girl that came 5th, was one of the girls I sponsor, but I will forward to you the picture for the whole world to see.
Thank you very much.
If I can sponsor 10 youth and I paid for their transport all the way from Kaduna, fed them, took care of the car, sent them back, and I gave them something in appreciation, have I not tried?
You have been condemning the youths since the beginning of the show. And then what are the key to the developing the next generation of leaders?
There is a saying that in a multitude of counsel, there is what? Safety. All I want the youth of this generation to do is to listen to counsel, and they will be safe. And whether we accept it or not, my generation will happily hand over the economic, social, political destiny of this country into their hands, bless them, and I join the train of exit.
Thank you. Thank you. Jesse, quickly, your question.
I feel leadership is way more than intelligent. It's not about I've gone to school or I'm intelligent. There's more to it, and it's sacrificing to the people who you're called to lead. Then the other question I want to ask is, looking at our parents of old, they marry not just one wife, wives, and they could scale through. You see a lot of them, but look at what we have today, the number of divorce cases. Now, my question from that is, how can someone who cannot lead a small family be able to lead a nation?
Come on, come on. Pass it down, pass it down.
It's important that we have this conversation about how a leader should look. I mean, because as a leader that you have rightly spoken, you are the emblem of what society should look like, right? And there are kids who grow up and see you as a model. So I think you should not take out your looks, and you should dress properly. I do not believe that leaders should sag, because sagging is a prison behavior. People must understand what it is. So we do not preach that young people should sag.
I have one more. What do you think?
So that's just it. And then the other one about the rate of divorce and people who married more and now. Look, we're in a different time in our human history. Those days where you had those things happen, probably the world was around 4 billion or maybe less. Today we're close to 8 billion. You know what that means? Resources are scarce, and you have more competition. And the fact that you have a society where consumption is regarded as king, the idea of value will continue to depreciate. So the pressure that causes divorce is not only the failure of the person who is supposed to lead a family, it is a congestion of social pressure that is not the fault of the man, but the fault of both parties who don't understand why they marry in the first place.
Come on.
So it is not a youth problem.
All right.
It's a youth problem. That issue she said, she mentioned about divorce, and I will answer it straight away.
Quickly.
When you said it's not a question, I gave an example of the musicians we have. The males, go and check them. They are competing on how many girls they have impregnated. What has that got to do with population? We know it.
That's not
economic
well.
pressure is different from social pressure, though they are related. But what we are saying is this: listen to counsel. Those old parents that we had that were polygamous and still were able to contain families, because most of the time your generation does not listen.
Come on,
Learn
come on.
how our parents manage their wives.
You heard it all, you heard it all. Well, time is fast spent. Time is no longer our friend right here. And of course, they say in the multiple of counsel there is wisdom. We have to switch gears right now to take this home. If you're just joining us, this is still the Big Issue. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still the Big Issue. I must confess, this has been a threshold of wisdom right here, listening to these amazing gentlemen. But of course, we have to end the show no matter what. But first, I would have to speak with Bala. He needs to take this home in a wrap. Bala, you have spilled your points. You have made your assertions. Yeah. And of course, you have pointed out also where you have contributed to the development of the youths in this country. Now, how do you wrap? Well, in a few seconds.
All I can tell my colleague is that I have a lot of respect for him, right? I see him. He belongs to the infinitesimal quantum of youth in the country. So based on that, I will want him to come up with an advocacy of sensitizing the youths. There are some of them. We have his likes. Just like yesterday, right? The Kaduna State Speaker was impeached. That was a demonstration of a responsible youth. If it were to be another one, there will be chaos and destruction of maize. But that guy, Honorable Abdullahi Shegali, was impeached. Oh, before the impeachment, he signed his resignation letter, handed it over peacefully. So I am not saying you don't exist, but you are just in pockets. We will be willing and ready to counsel you, help you, support you, if you can congregate yourself and be ready to listen to us. We will definitely be willing to hand over that clock, that package to you to lead our country. But if not, we will rather look for adopted children, groom them, and hand over the destiny of this country to them.
God bless. You have been amazing from the very start. Advocating that the youths are ready. Now, how do you wrap up?
When they told us that it was impossible to get the Not Young to Run bill passed, we responded with that youthful creed that yes, we can. When this country showed us that it was impossible to get good education, we responded with that youthful creed that yes, we can. Now that our elections are tougher, we're now responding again with that youthful creed that we can get electoral amendment done because we can. When this country gave us nothing but hope, tough economic situation, we responded by creating a platform. Because what? Yes, we can. We created Linda Ikeji because we believed, yes, we can. We created Joberman because we believed, yes, we can. Yaga today is empowering youth across Africa because, yes, we can. And we have Ready to Lead Africa because we believe that the competency of emerging youth is much more important to us than our age. Yes, because we can. Fellow Nigerians, youth scattered across every corner of this country, do not believe any lie that say you cannot lead Africa. No, you are more than just leading Nigeria. You will lead Africa.
Come on.
You will lead the world.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right? Go back to your constituencies. Students, go back to your books. Read them. Understand that the present darkness in Nigeria is only a proof that your light is about to shine. If they tell you, I know that right now exiting the stage is what looks good. You want to go to Canada or the US or run away because the pains are too much. I am here standing on behalf of so many young Nigerians to tell you, this is not the time to exit. This is time to fold your arms and walk it out, because every country that you plan to run to was built not by old people, but by its young people. This is the time where you and I must enlist.
Thank you.
Because we are ready to lead Africa.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes. Yes. Yes, we can actually end the show now. You can follow the conversation on our social media handles at TVC Connect and at TVC News Nigeria. My personal handle is Mark Otubore, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Engage me with the hashtag #TheBigIssue. So if you're thinking of always embarking on an intellectual quest like we've had now, always remember to tune in to The Big Issue. Come on.